Kentucky to beat anybody that too particularly big. Also, what are they? Out losing Will Levis? They got Devin Leary. Who knows?
But their guy, the savior, the OC, Liam Cohen, is back from his 1-year stint with the Rams. They were pretty darn good 2 years ago with him. Final one, LSU 2-point favorites over Florida State, which I thought was interesting in the neutral site game. But it's not New Orleans this year, isn't it? In Orlando or something? I think they moved it to Florida.
It's definitely in Florida. Is it on Orlando
or at the Buck Stadium? Maybe? I don't know.
I thought it was in Orlando
for some reason.
I think you're right.
Camping World, whatever. But either way, Matt Green, which of those lines stood out the most to you? Which do you think is the most interesting?
You are correct. That is at Camping World Stadium. I was a little surprised to see LSU. I guess I'm not surprised to see LSU favored because I think LSU is going to be better than Florida State this year. But I don't know. Are we anticipating some sort of home field advantage for Florida State in Orlando, or is this a 50-50 split? Like LSU is obviously a big time fan base. It's going to travel. I guess I was surprised to see Florida as a 9.5 point dog at Utah. I know it's on the road. Thursday night, weekday road game, not a good recipe for sure, especially traveling across the country for like the first time for a regular season game in like 40 years or something like that, I think, for Florida. But it also has a vibe to me like the Georgia Notre Dame from a couple years back going on the road. Like year 2 of Billy Napier, like maybe they're a completely new team coming out second year. Like it's a chance to rally the troops to start the season. Like, because there is something I think too, starting off with such a huge game, like it can just motivate you the entire off season. It's just like it adds to the sense of urgency. And I don't know. I know Billy Napier in Florida. It's not looking great right now, but I think I'm buying the year 2 stuff more than anything. I'm just a big year 2 head coach. You just see a lot of boosts. We saw what Heupel did year 2 at Tennessee last year.
That's fair. I think LSU, like my preseason national title game pick is Ohio State LSU. So I'm leaning LSU winning that, but I could you could sell me on the Buckeyes too. But I'm leaning LSU Ohio State as my preseason pick, and LSU win the national title. So I would not be surprised if they win it here. But also I think if you told me that Florida State was one of the 4 best teams in college football this year, I wouldn't bat an eye. Like Jared Verse is going to be in this game. We'll see how he handles things. I mean, he looks like he's going to be a top 5, top 7 pick next year's draft. He was a big return. Florida State obviously cleaned up in the portal. Jordan Travis, I mean, what more can you say than he should be a Heisman finalist going into next year? He's poised for a gigantic year at Florida State. I think they're rightfully, the expectations are high. Benson in the backfield, they're loaded on both sides of the ball. And they beat this LSU team last year ahead of schedule a little bit. And there was a big talent differential on both sides. Harold Perkins, can he dominate this game and kind of take over and limit Jordan Travis? I think it's going to be fascinating. I do think this will be a close game and like that 2-point spread, more of a toss-up. But I think it's interesting to see LSU favored out of the gate here. But that's going to be a phenomenal opening week game. And I don't think it's going to be the same kind of game we saw last year where it was just more of like a who wants to embarrass themselves more as we get things started. If you recall how that game ended and just how bizarre that game was as a whole.
Which game?
The LSU Florida State game last year.
Oh, yeah. Nobody wanted to win that game.
No. I don't think that will be the case this year because I think both are in good shape and well positioned to qualify for the playoff.
I think Florida State's one of the more interesting teams in all of college football going into 2023 because, like, do we know they're good? Like, they're going to be, like, preseason top 5, 6, 7. Like, they're going to be up there. But, like, are we basing that off of the 6-game winning streak they closed the season on? When they beat Georgia Tech, bad. Miami, bad. Syracuse, bad. Louisiana, bad. Florida, bad. Oklahoma, bad. Like, they beat 6 bad teams to end the season, but they're just one of those brands.
The Florida hump was huge.
I think that's true, and I think Jordan Travis looks good. And I think
Yeah.
Jordan Travis gives you confidence in the quarterback, especially when so many of the big-time teams from a year ago are replacing their quarterback. It feels like he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football, but I think there's a chance that they're just not that much better than they were a year ago, and we just see some of the same old Florida State, that not same old Florida State, but the recent history we've seen from Florida State.
That's fair. That's why they play these games, and I want to see what it looks like on the field. Florida 9.5. I would hit the over on that one. I think Utah is going to beat them by more than that.
Oh, you think so?
Utah
also.
Is gonna be good again.
I'm guessing North Carolina, just with Drake May, they're going to be top 15 preseason. I bet you they're going to be like the 12th, 13th.
I don't think so.
I mean, what they
borderline ranked?
What they finished last year? They were flirting with they were flirting with the top 10 going into the ACC championship, right? They were 2 loss. They may have lost their last regular season. They lost multiple games. They may have lost the last 3 games of the season or something like that. But they were flirting with the top 10.
Okay, it was a little bit better than I thought it was. They ended the year on a 4-game losing streak.
Okay.
You know what's wild? They were 6-0 on the road and 3-3 at home. 9-5 overall. Yeah.
So what did they get up to? Were they ever top 10? Can you see that?
I can't see. But they lost at home to Georgia Tech, lost in overtime to NC State, lost to Clemson in the ACC title game, and lost to Oregon late on that terrible turf situation in San Diego. I remember they should have lost to App State in Boone.
Yeah. So the highest
they
were
lost
ranked
to
last
Georgia
year.
State, 35-28.
Oh yeah, man. They were having some great some classic Sun Belt games last year.
They just were not a very good team.
But they got up to 13 last year,
Okay.
and they have Drake May. Drake May is just maybe the best player in all of college football. That right there. I would almost guarantee they're going to be preseason top 15. I've been number 13, 14, and South Carolina. I would bet is not ranked, right? South Carolina's not going to be ranked. I don't know what you would base that off of. I don't think South Carolina, from what they lost a year ago, and they would just, they beat Tennessee and Clemson. If you're going to base their entire season off Tennessee and Clemson, then yeah, they're top 25, but they played a lot more games than that. So I don't know. I don't see South Carolina as a preseason ranked team. So I'm kind of surprised to see that as just a 1.5 point line, because I think Vegas might see that differently than the AP poll sees it.
Maybe.
Or DraftKings.
Matt Green, do you want to do our Big Ten over-unders here?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
We're not going to get into every single team here because some of these lines are not as interesting as other, but I'll run through these real quick at the top here.